Welcome to Quick Course Digest. Today we're jumping right into English Composition I. We're going to break down the writing process and hand you a powerful toolkit so you can share your ideas with way more clarity and confidence.
Oh, we've all been there. You know that feeling, right? That blinking cursor on a blank screen. It can feel like it's mocking you. But what if I told you that writing isn't some kind of magic? Nope, it's a skill. It's a process you can actually learn and get really good at, one step at a time.
All right, so here's our game plan for this writer's journey. Let's think of it like building a house. First, we got to figure out why we're building and for who. Then we'll draw up the blueprint. After that, we'll start laying the foundation, brick by brick. We'll add those finishing touches, and finally, we'll tell the story of the house we built.
Okay, before you even think about writing that first sentence, you need to zoom out and look at the big picture. You see, great writing isn't about fancy words. It's about having a smart strategy. And that whole strategy really starts with two simple questions.
What's your purpose, and who's your audience? Your purpose is your why. What are you actually trying to do here? And your audience is your who. Who are you talking to? Seriously, these two things are like your compass. They guide every single decision you make, from your tone of voice to the words you choose. And your purpose, your why, usually points you to the right mode of writing. Are you telling a personal story? Well, that's narrative. Are you just explaining a topic with a bunch of facts? That's informative. Or are you trying to get someone to agree with you? Then you're being argumentative. Knowing your goal helps you pick the right tool for the job.
So once you've got your why and your who figured out, it's time to start building. But you wouldn't just start throwing up walls for a house without a blueprint, right? Of course not. The writing process is your blueprint. It's a roadmap that takes you from that initial chaos of ideas to something that's clear and organized. So here they are, the 5 core stages. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Writing is not a straight line. It's messy. It's a cycle. You might be halfway through drafting and realize, whoops, I need to go back and pre-write some more. That's not failure. That's just how writing actually works. The most important part of pre-writing is that it is a judgment-free zone. This is your time to just play, to throw ideas at the wall, to make a mess. Think of it like doodling in a sketchbook before you start the real painting. It's where you figure out what you even want to say. Okay, this is a big one that trips up so many people. Revising and proofreading are totally different things. Revising is the big picture stuff. You're like an architect, looking at the whole structure, maybe even moving a wall. Proofreading? That's the final cleanup, looking for tiny little typos and grammar mistakes. It's the last polish. We've looked at the big picture, we've got the blueprint, now it's time to get our hands dirty and start laying some bricks. And in writing, your sentences are those bricks. They are the absolute fundamental building blocks of whatever you're trying to say.
At the core of every good sentence is something called a clause. An independent clause is a complete thought. It can stand on its own. The dog slept. Simple. Complete. But a dependent clause, well, it's dependent. It can't stand alone. It leaves you hanging. Because he was tired. Getting this difference down is the key to avoiding a ton of common errors.
Speaking of leaving you hanging, look at this. Because he was tired. You can feel it, right? It feels incomplete. What's missing? This is a classic sentence fragment, just an idea floating out in space all by itself. And here's the easy fix. To save a sentence fragment, you just have to connect it to a complete thought, an independent clause. The dog slept on the bed because he was tired. There, now it's a complete sentence and everything makes sense. And here's another common trap, the run-on sentence. This specific one is called a comma splice. We have two complete sentences just kind of smashed together with only a comma in between. And a comma just isn't strong enough to do that job. But the fix is so simple. All you need is a little connector word, a conjunction. Words like and, but, or so do the trick. Today is my birthday, so all my friends are coming for dinner. See? Now it flows perfectly. All right, let's talk about those finishing touches that take writing from just good to great. I know. Punctuation can seem like a bunch of boring, picky rules. But think of it this way. Punctuation marks are like traffic signals. They tell your reader when to slow down, when to stop, and how to navigate your ideas. Let's just blast through 3 comma rules you'll use constantly. First, use them to separate things in a list. Second, like we just saw, use a comma before a word like and or but when it connects 2 full sentences. And third, pop a comma after an introductory phrase at the beginning of a sentence. Easy enough. Now, let's look at the powerful little apostrophe.
When something belongs to a single noun, one cat, the apostrophe comes before the S. We're talking about the whiskers of one single cat.
But watch what happens now. We just moved that little apostrophe to be after the S, and the meaning completely flips. Now we're talking about the whiskers that belong to multiple cats. That tiny mark carries so much meaning.
So we've gone over the strategy, the process, and the nuts and bolts. Now it's time for the fun part, putting it all together to do what humans do best, tell a story. This is where you can really connect with your reader on a whole other level.
You know, almost every great story follows this kind of pattern, the narrative arc. You start with the exposition, setting the scene. Then the rising action builds up all the tension. The climax is that huge turning point. The falling action deals with the consequences. And the resolution, well, that ties everything up. But what makes a story truly unforgettable? It's the voice. Your voice is your personality on the page. It's the unique mix of your word choice, your sentence style, your tone. It's the fingerprint that makes your writing sound like you.
So as we finish up this tour of English composition, I want you to remember this. Learning to write well is about so much more than just passing a class. It's really about learning how to think clearly. It's about taking that jumble of ideas in your head and giving them shape and structure and power.
So there you go. You've got the strategy, the process, and the tools you need to be a more confident, effective writer. That blank page, it's not scary anymore, is it? It's an invitation. It's a blank canvas. So now the only question is, what are you going to build?